So if you would give advice to a company in terms of what is the most important factor in choosing or selecting an enterprise application, what would it be? And I think actually the QuinStreet research has an interesting input in this, and that what companies themselves say is ease of use counts more than anything. I mean, you think it might be cost, you think it might be feature set, but no, it's actually ease of use, which says to me that companies don't want their IT support staff to be doing a lot of hand-holding to the folks in the cubicle. So ease of use is really one of the most important factors. But Chris, I know this is an area you specialize in. What is the most important thing in terms of choosing an enterprise app?
Yeah, it's will they use it? The employees won't use it if it's not intuitive, simple, and easy to utilize on a daily basis. I mean, Steve Jobs was talking about this 30 years ago. That's what he was all about. That's what Apple's all about. It's all about the user. The interface is super, super important. A lot of companies have taken a number of years to come to that conclusion. That's why cloud apps, most of them are very simple to use. That's why Shadow IT is happening. It's because these things are easier to use than many enterprise apps. And easy is a big red button in one company's advertising campaign, but people use that button an awful lot. That is definitely the most important thing when it comes to a mobile app, whether it's enterprise or personal, easy to use and reliable to use.
I want that big red button. I like those easy buttons. They help me quite a bit. John, what would you point to as a key factor in choosing an enterprise application? What matters to companies, or what should matter to companies?
I think that the research has shown that while necessarily willing to put really their most critical applications, say like HR, ERP, accounting, governance, risk management on the web, they are willing to put more of the new generation apps, customer service, sales, anything that has to do with sales, marketing, that'll go up on the online first, and it becomes a matter for the industry, the cloud service providers, to really convince enterprises, especially small and medium-sized businesses, that they should try out applications that are out there in some of these critical areas, such as ERP. I think that ERP is perhaps one of the next applications that are moving out there, and there's a couple of companies out there that are doing this in this area.
Mm-hmm. And thoughts on what makes an enterprise app a good choice for a company, or why companies would choose one over the other?
Sure. Again, I think that the ease of use that we're talking about is important. That's your sexy stuff, the ease of use and the mobility. I think, though, you do still need to consider the not-so-sexy stuff, which for some reason I got to discuss. I don't know why putting me with non-sexy makes sense, actually, but that would be things like compliance and things like security and things like integration. Those are important. Again, if you don't think about them up front as you're kind of buying and deploying apps, you're going to have to think about them later. If you're either going to pay me now or pay me later. And I think kind of the key to having that happen, I know we've talked a lot about Shadow IT, it's really building this sense of teamwork between your business, your lines of business, and your IT organization. Try to get those folks together early to really discuss their requirements, get those business requirements squared away and really get them discussing these type of things. Really, it should be possible for them to work together and to come up with a short list that satisfies both the sexy and the non-sexy. Usually, I think what we find, and this was certainly borne out in the QuinStreet Enterprise Research, and Chris mentioned it as well, the lines of business are usually making that final decision, but they should be doing so with input from IT so that they do, again, satisfy these things like compliance and integration, and then they will, those apps are going to work better, they're going to run more smoothly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right about the compliance. I mean, it's certainly not a sexy topic, but when legal issues arise, it's really nice to have compliance taken care of. It's sort of like something that sits there. When you do it well and it's not a problem, it doesn't seem to matter. But suddenly, it can matter a whole lot at some point.
Yeah, it's like having
lawsuits
a.
aren't
Well, go ahead.
lawsuits aren't sexy.
It's like having.
Very much so. Losing lawsuits aren't sexy. Yeah, for sure.
No.
Yeah,
No.
it's not sexy to have to worry about a disaster recovery system, for example, for your IT system. But man, if there's a disaster, you need it to be recovered, or your business is going to be out. So it's the same kind of thing. Exactly.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Well, also, I think we have to consider is consolidation of apps, because with everybody, again, bringing in shadow IT, if all departments go off and one wants this type of a, let's say, not an ERP system, some kind of analytics system, let's say. Somebody wants this one, the sales department wants one, HR wants a different one, then IT's got to manage all of this. So there needs to be a central location where they can say, all right, well, what are your, like as Ann said, what the requirements are and what's going to work for the enterprise, not just what's going to work for you and your team. So it's going to require a lot of cooperation between the various groups in an enterprise.
And James, could I make one more point, James?
Please do.
Well, another reason, again, to really kind of work and coordinate early and often is that now today, with data being more important, you're going to want, again, back to the integration piece, you want to be able to more easily share data between your applications to do things like get a 360-degree view of your customer. You're going to provide them better service. And again, it's very important that they interplay. And a lot of that has to do with kind of the growing importance of data to almost every business. I'm certainly customer-oriented ones, but all businesses now.
To jump onto that, and real quickly too, this is why so many large organizations and medium-sized organizations are now creating the position of Chief Data Officer at the company. They realize how important and how much the crown jewels are involved and are instantiated in companies' data. And that Chief Data Officer works closely with the CIO and the CTO and then the rest of the actually all of the C-level execs to be sure that that is safe, all the data is safe, accessible, and backed up. And more companies are realizing that's important. We'll be having a big story. Actually, I've been working on a story on that at eWeek for a while. It should be publishing in the next couple of weeks.
The idea of the chief data officer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I mean, then becomes what is the relationship between the chief data officer and the chief information officer? Those two have got to really get along. But I guess it's a discussion for a different day, perhaps.
The CDO does a lot of the things the CIO really doesn't want to do or has time to do.
Yeah.
So it's basically
Sorry.
basically cleansing the data and getting it ready to go for operation is what it is.
Well, it brings into the whole analytics area, and with all the analytics software programs that are out there now. And one of the things with that, I mean, the security, I mean, that's pretty good. But when you think about how trying to look at these things when you're on the train and you got your little smartphone and you're trying to analyze something, there again it brings into the whole not only use but design of mobile apps that you can look at them on a very small screen, a very complicated thing like an analytics report, and make sense of it. And I think analytics is going to be a huge issue in the next couple of years. And how do you make that accessible on a mobile device?
Yeah, there are a lot of companies trying to do that right now.
It's interesting. I think it was Citrix a few years back introduced an app that an administrator can use to log into their data center through their smartphone. So in a sense, the smartphone is going to be this admin panel for the infrastructure. Go figure. So the chief data officer is going to be doing their job on the train home using their smartphone. Interesting. I want to see that.